Instead of sending this hard-coded value, let's try to send the actual value entered by the end user. Anytime if there is a change is happening inside this input element, we know this onChange event is going to be triggered by the browser. Whenever the browser is invoking this onChange event, it is going to pass event details as input parameter. The same we can try to accept as an input to this arrow function. Under this arrow function body, while we are trying to invoke this handle search engine, what we can do is we can try to get the actual value entered by the end user by using event.target.value. So this code is going to give you the actual value entered by the end user inside this input text box. The same will go as an input here and it will be displayed inside the console.log. I hope you're clear with this syntax. We're only passing an reference of an arrow function to the React, and React is going to take care of invoking this reference function whenever a change is happening. So when a change is happening, the arrow function is going to have event as an input parameter. Using the same event, we're trying to get the value with the help of event.target.value. Let me save these changes and go to the browser. Inside the browser, this time you will be able to see what is the actual value I have typed inside my search box. As of now, we're not retaining the value. We are going to fix that in few minutes. But as I type some value, the same is being displayed inside the console. The same behavior you can see inside your local system as well. Now, there is a problem which we need to consider. Whenever an end user is trying to type a content inside this search box, accordingly, we want to filter the products. But which component is taking care of displaying these products? It is the product listings. Product listings always going to receive the products data from the home component, and this component is responsible to process these products data. With this setup, there is a problem that we have. With the code that we have written inside the search box, we're able to invoke a function whenever a change is happening. But inside this function, we want to perform some filtering of the products, but the products data is not available here. Of course, we can try to get the products data as an input to this search box by passing the products data as props to the search box component. But even if we do that and perform the filtering logic inside the products, how do you communicate that filtered products data to the parent component, which is product listings? As we learned previously, React does not support two-way binding. It only supports one-way binding. A parent can always send the data to the child component using props, but the child cannot send the data to the parent using props. To overcome this problem, what we can do is we can try to define this function inside the product listings itself. Let me cut this function and paste inside the product listings. But with this change, how do my search box will know what is a function it has to execute whenever a change is happening? This is where we can follow a clever hack, which most of the React developers they follow in real applications. We can pass the reference of this function as an input parameter with the help of props to the search box component. So let me go to the search box and update this to accept an new input parameter with the name handle search. This handle search variable represents the reference of the function that we want to be invoked whenever a change is happening inside this text box. Now here inside the onChange, instead of invoking the actual function, we just have to invoke the reference of the function that we have received in the form of handle search. The same I'm trying to mention here. Of course, we can mention this variable name also same as your function name handle search change. But I'm trying to give a different name just to give some clarity to you on how this is working. Once we update the search box component, we should also make sure passing this input parameter from the product listings. So from the product listings, while we are trying to invoke the search box, we need to send handle search input parameter as well. To this handle search, I can pass the handle search change function reference by just simply mentioning the name here, but I can't do that because my function is expecting an input parameter. So that's why here we need to build an arrow function which is capable of accepting an input parameter with the input parameter name something like value. The same value we're trying to pass as an input to the handle search change function. With these code changes, we are trying to pass a reference of an arrow function to the handle search input parameter, which will go to my search box component. And when a change is happening, this handle search will be invoked by sending the actual value that the end user is trying to invoke. This is what is happening here. I hope all these code changes are clear to you. Let me save these changes and go to the browser. Inside the browser, I will try to type some content. As you can see, I'm trying to type the content and the logs are being displayed on the console. Of course, the same is not being displayed on the search box because we need to fix a bug inside our code. With the code that we have written so far, we're able to establish a communication from child component to the React component. The only problem right now we are facing is whatever value that we are trying to type here, the same is not being displayed again onto the search box component. We're going to fix that with the help of React hooks, but please make sure you are clear with whatever we have discussed so far. Let's try to fix the problem that our input search box has. So here inside my product listing, I'm going to create a variable with the name search text. To this variable, by default, I'm going to assign some empty value. This search text, I'm going to update whenever this handle search change function is being invoked. Let me type search text is equal to input search. The same search text variable, I'll try to log with the help of this console.log statement. I can also take this variable and assign to the value input parameter here with the help of these curly braces and search text. With this, I'm expecting whenever someone is trying to type some content inside this input text variable, this handle search function reference will be invoked due to these onChange conditions. And with that, the function that we have defined here will be executed and the latest value will be assigned to the search text. And this search text we are trying to log into the console and assign to this value parameter of search box as well. So this value parameter, it is going to hold the latest entered value. The same again we are trying to send to the search box with the help of this value. The same we bind it to this actual value parameter of the HTML input element. Let's hope this fix works and our issue will get resolved. Let me save all these changes. I'll try to open the console and clean it. Let me refresh the browser as well, just to be on the safe side. I'm typing my lucky letter M. In fact, it is logged as well inside the console, but the latest search text value is not being displayed under the search text box. Let me type A, still it is not working. Let me type D, A, N. I'm typing my name Madan, but still nothing is working. Do you know the reason why? We're going to explore that in the next lecture. But before I try to close this lecture, let's try to revise everything that we have discussed so far. I prepared some beautiful slides for your quick revision. As I said before, React events work similarly to standard HTML events. We can invoke the events by using attributes like onClick, onChange, which are all exposed by the React library. So as soon as you type on, you're going to get the list of options and you can select one of them based upon your requirements. So as you can see here, first I have defined a function which I want to be invoked whenever a button is clicked. Under these scenarios, I need to make sure inside my JSX, I'm invoking onClick next to this button. And to this onClick, we need to pass the reference of handle click function. While passing the reference, please make sure you are not passing the parentheses. If you pass the parentheses, you will end up actually invoking this handle click function during the rendering of your component. The same I have highlighted here. Why writing parentheses is not allowed while passing the function reference. Inside HTML, it will work because inside HTML, we used to pass the function details using double quotes because it is an inline event handler written as a string in the HTML attribute. But in React JSX, we are going to use the curly braces, which is going to execute whatever JavaScript code that you have provided. If you provide this JavaScript code, since it is a JavaScript function execution, it is going to invoke the same during the rendering process. Instead, we should only pass the function name handClick, which React is going to store as a function reference, and the same will be invoked by the React library whenever click action is being performed on the button. This entire information I tried to mention here. In the next slide, I have mentioned how to pass the function reference if your function is accepting some input parameters. In these kind of scenarios, we need to build an arrow function which we are going to pass as a reference to the onClick. This arrow function will be invoked by the React whenever onClick event is happening. Here inside the arrow function body, I'm trying to invoke the actual function which is handle click along with the input parameter value. In the next slide, I highlighted about the event object in React. As we discussed previously, whenever we are using a function without any single parameters, under such scenarios, React is going to send the event details to your function. And if you want to accept those event details as an input parameter, you just have to mention some variable name here, and this input variable is going to represent the event object that is going to be populated by the React library. In case if you don't want to accept any input parameter, that is also fine. In such scenarios, React is going to simply invoke your function without any event input parameters. But this magic is not going to happen if your function started accepting some input arguments. If your function is accepting some input arguments, and if you still want to know the event details, you need to send those event details manually while invoking the handle click function. Here, if you see, this is an arrow function reference which we pass to this onClick. Whenever a click is happening, the browser is going to send those event details as an input to the arrow function. The same event details I can try to send as another parameter or as a second parameter. With this now, these event details will be available to the original function under this second parameter. So here everything developer has to do manually. Most of the times we don't need the event details, but in case if you want to dig into the event details, you can follow this approach. I didn't show the demo of this approach. Maybe we can try to quickly see the demo. There is no harm in that. I'm going to show you the demo by making some changes. Once we are clear with the demo, I'll revert all the event related changes because we don't need the event details. First, inside my product listings, I need to make sure my handle search change is accepting some second parameter. So let me name this parameter name as event. Next, I'll go to the search box. Here, anyway, we are receiving the event details from the browser as an input to the arrow function. The same event object, I'll try to send as it is as a second parameter. So let me save these changes and go to the browser. Let me clean this console. Now, if I type M, you'll be able to see M, but we're not able to see any event details because I forgot to log the event object. Let me go to the product listings, and here I will try to log the event object. This time we should be able to see a couple of console statements. Let me type M again. We saw two statements, one with M and the other one is undefined. Let me see what is the problem. Yes, I understand the problem. Here, while passing the reference of this handle search change, we need to make sure we are passing two input parameters, and the same we need to mention here as well. Let me save this and go to the browser. Let me clean this console. This time let me type M, and hooray, we're able to see M character and event details as well. This is how you can manually send the event details. I hope you're clear. Please read the slides that I have provided one more time to get better clarity. I know this is a complex topic and you need to have a very good understanding on the JavaScript concepts to understand them. I did my best to explain them clearly by showing you a lot of problems and examples. By the time I come to the next lecture, I'm going to revert all these event related logic in both these product listings and search box.